Oh my God, shut up. Men sacrifice their happiness for their family and women sacrifice their family for their happiness.
That is something that I've been seeing floating around on the internet now for probably probably 4 or 5 months. I'm sure they've been saying it longer than that, but I'm saying when I noticed it was about 4 or 5 months ago. And I really initially, when I heard it, I laughed at it. I just thought it was so ridiculous. I was like, that's funny. And I didn't clock why they were starting to tell this lie. But fast forward to today, I'm fully aware of it, and I want to talk about it. And I've talked about it on lives before, but I definitely want to talk about it in the video because I want people to really hear and understand why men are saying this and what we got to get to the bottom of this because it's so untrue and it's harmful, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, shut up. Men sacrifice their happiness for their family and women sacrifice their family for their happiness. Shut up. It is truly one of the dumbest, most backwards, self-pitying lines that men say to each other like it's profound. It's pathetic. So we're going to start with the obvious, okay? Nobody forced you to get married, Dave, right? You're not held hostage. You weren't tricked. You weren't hypnotized by her Pinterest board. You bought the ring. You got down on one knee. You told all your buddies how she was wifey material. Spare me this revisionist history where you're the martyr and you're just chained to your wife, right? You're chained to being her servant. That is so not what's happening. If marriage is such a soul-sucking sacrifice, why do men propose more? Why are you the ones planning grand proposals at baseball games, sobbing in engagement announcement videos, and declaring that you found the one? Why are you locking it down? Because you don't hate marriage. You hate that it requires effort. You wanted access. You wanted access to free labor, the live-in caretaker, the cook, the housekeeper, a therapist. You wanted someone to manage your social life. You wanted someone to remember your mom's birthday, raise your kids, still look sexy, and smile, even though you're completely ignoring her. You don't actually hate the institution of marriage, right? You hate the moment that she stops performing all of the unpaid emotional labor without a thank you.
Remember what she said? She said that they don't hate marriage. They don't hate the institution of marriage. They hate the fact that they have to show up. And what they always wanted was access. Listen.
She's going to make you a man. She's going to take you from being a boy to being a man. You're going to learn everything you ever wanted to know. And you're going to have personal, full-time access to your own female body. Oh my God, it's going to be the best. But before you can get there, there's a commitment involved.
That's exactly what she just said. So for anybody that's going to be like, what she's saying isn't true, men openly admit to this. This is not even a secret. Like, men are openly admitting this is the thought process that we have when it comes to marriage. We want access. That's what it's all about.
Raise your kids, still look sexy, and smile, even though you're completely ignoring her. You don't actually hate the institution of marriage, right? You hate the moment that she stops performing all of the unpaid emotional labor without a thank you. Now, let's tackle this kind of second half of the sentence, the part where you claim that women sacrifice their family for their happiness. Because what I hear is, how dare she stop suffering for me? But here's the truth, bud. Most women who have left their husbands have tried for years to make it work, right?
Absolutely. And it's so funny that this came up because I had this play out last night in my live. Listen to what this man was saying, because he's a perfect example of what she's talking about. That's like, I don't know why is that so,
Yeah, well, I think I'll put the blame on me. I don't think I'm the marriage type, because if the response in you and the contributor or whatever his name is, when I said, if somebody tells you, if your wife tells you to do something, do you do it right away? You both jumped and said, of course. And I never was like that. So I think that was part me. I mean, I just couldn't.
So he asked us, because he's divorced, and he asked me and the people on the panel, the other men on the panel who were married, me and another man was married. He asked us, okay, so what would you do if your wife asks you to do something? Would you do it right away? And first Shannon said, yeah. He was like, oh, absolutely. And then I was like, yeah, yeah, you get up and do it. And then that was his response was, well, I didn't do it. And I was like, that's why you're not married anymore. Because, But he basically did all of this, and I'll let you hear what I was saying and what he was saying, because it's very interesting. It's so odd to hear men say these things out loud and not actually understand what he was saying or take any accountability for what he was saying and doing. But essentially, I just pointed out the fact that he was doing this to control her, because he wanted everything from her, but he didn't want to give her anything. He wanted her to do everything. All he wanted to do was go to work and come home, and that was it. That was the whole thing.
Do it that way.
Yeah, that's that ego.
Cookie?
Yeah, that shit is hard, brother. Trust me, it's hard. I still got to catch myself. My wife be like, "Don't do that." Like, she's like, she got to remind me. I ain't gonna even trip. Like, she'll say something to me, and I'd be like, and then she'll be like, "No, you didn't go." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Fuck," you know. But it's the ego, though. Like you said, I don't want to be a slave. You far from a slave, from doing the thing that you should already be doing anyway. Like, that'll make you a slave. Aquarius said the foundation of healthy marriages starts with actually liking each other. Not just romantic, but enjoying a friendship. These motherfuckers want cellmates. 5 on it. Got you. They put 5 on that boy head. Yeah, they want cellmates.
Here's the key too, and I'll tell you, I'll leave with this, host. I think it's so important to find the right partner. I mean, you just gotta marry that right person, and I think you found it. I almost found it. I don't think I did, or maybe
Yeah, you did. Your right partner doesn't exist.
Yeah, well,
you know why? Because you want a partner that's going to accept you for being like abusive and neglectful, and most partners aren't going to do that. So
well,
your partner doesn't.
I mean, I needed somebody who could look over for me, and I couldn't.
Why would somebody look over abuse?
No, neglect? Abuse. I mean, one thing is abuse, and one other thing is somebody who's not, somebody's like me, right? So,
what makes you think you weren't okay? How did the situation play out? I'm going to play your wife. You're you. Hey, yeah, I need for you to call the insurance company.
Okay, I'll do it. And I wouldn't do it that minute, right?
Yeah, but I need for you to do it right now. It's really important. Can you do it right now?
So then the argument would start.
Okay, exactly. And then how would this happen? Okay, so why can't you do it right now? I really need for you to do it right now.
Right, exactly. Well,
and the
I'm
reason
busy.
why
I don't like when you pressure me doing stuff.
And you know why? I wouldn't pressure you. I would love to be able just to ask you to do something and trust that you're going to do it. But most of the time when I ask you to do something, you actually don't do the thing that I asked you to do. That's why I have to.
Right.
That's why
I can tell you've been married. Yeah. And so, but it gets into a tug of war of basically a wills, right? And so, and I gotta admit, I'm strong-headed, and I just.
So you don't think that's logical? So you guys are, I'm saying this early on in a relationship, let's say. She asked you to do stuff. You failed her enough times to where she got to the point to where she was like, no, I need you to do it now. You never accepted that. And then you became more combative, which is abusive. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is abusive. Like,
I would call it disagreeable.
100, without a doubt. There's no way around this logically.
Okay, all right. You call it abusive. I call it disagreeable.
If being disagreeable habitually for the sake of control is abusive, because that's all you were doing it for.
But if I were to flip it around and do it to her, I'm sure it would not be appreciated the other way.
You wouldn't, sir. You wouldn't have to ask your wife to do something repeatedly.
No, I disagree there. You know.
Now you about to lie and say that you had to. You didn't.
No. And I'll give you an example. And because I'm a very tidy person, right?
Okay.
And so I need to have at least one place in my house where things are tidy. And I couldn't find that in my partner. I mean, everything had to be all over the place, any place. I mean, I couldn't, and I would argue this point to the point.
That's because you weren't helping her clean up enough.
No, it was, I would even clean it and I couldn't, even tell you as far as this. I would say, you know what, I'll take care of it, I'll do it. And then the argument was, well, you can't touch it. I got to touch it and I got to do this. And so you're caught in between a rock and a hard place. You can't do it yourself. You can't ask her to do it. So now either you ignore it and you're very anxious about it, or I don't know what you do.
Where is the logic and where is the sacrifice? He couldn't sacrifice his own ego to save his marriage, but you expect me to believe that men are out here sacrificing what? He was doing all of this to control this woman. All he wanted was a wife slave. He wanted he wanted a cellmate, not a soulmate. That was it. He wanted a wife slave. Clear as day. I'm telling you, what this woman is saying in this video is prophetic. Like, it is exactly what these men are doing. Men are saying it out loud. So men can't even deny it. We can't even say we're not like, oh, that's not what's going on. We are literally admitting to it in 4K, dude. This is nuts.
How dare she stop suffering for me? But here's the truth, bud. Most women who have left their
and that's why, wait, I want to go take it back a little bit.
the part where you claim that women sacrifice their family for their happiness. Because what I hear is, how dare she stop suffering for me?
See? Isn't that what that dude said? He said he wanted to find a woman that would be able to accept who he was. And I was like, but you're an abuser. So essentially, he wanted a woman to put up with it and suffer in silence just so she could appease him. And he can get away with doing whatever he wanted to get away with, you know, whatever he wanted to get away with in the relationship. In 4K, that is literally, he just said it right now. He just said it. So I know the men, I know y'all hate to hear the truth coming out of a woman's mouth. Everything this woman is saying is exactly what men are saying out loud. 2 examples of men saying the thing out loud, out of their own mouths.
Here's the truth, bud. Most women who have left their husbands have tried for years to make it work, right? She asked you for change. She went to therapy. She read the book. She cried. She blamed herself. She probably twisted herself into 1,000 versions of less angry and less emotional and less needy. But eventually she cracked because you weren't listening. So she finally leaves, and then she's selfish. She's not leaving for some quest for happiness, right? That's not, oh, I just want to be.
Hold on. Hold on. Let's get that back. Let's run that back, y'all. That was too good.
Angry and less emotional and less needy. But eventually she cracked because you weren't listening. So she finally leaves, and then she's selfish. She's not leaving for some quest for happiness, right? That's not, oh, I just want to be happy. She is leaving to stop dying inside.
Literally, men are killing women, like slowly and fast a lot of times, but yeah, slowly. So yeah.
To look at real numbers, women initiate about 70% of divorces in hetero relationships, right? And you men, you love to say that, right? She's the one who left. Correct. But here's what's interesting. Women are happier after divorce. Mm-hmm. Men report higher dissatisfaction after divorce, mm-hmm. not before. Mm-hmm. Almost like marriage benefits men. Mm-hmm. You're in the middle of a loneliness epidemic. You know that, right? That 2021 study, 15% of men have 0 close friends. It's actually 5 times higher than in 1990. But let me guess, you care so much about men's mental health, right? Women, on the other hand, they tend to build deep emotional bonds. They have friends outside of their marriage.
Hey, I ain't gonna even hold y'all. Women can spoon and shit in bed. They'll hold each other. Women have a whole different level of friendship that men I won't say should be envious of, because I don't like to use that, because men are already envious of women, and that's a big problem. But men should aspire to be. We should aspire to reach those heights of deep connections and friendships with women. Women hold hands. I mean, women get the intimacy, the physical intimacy from female companionship, and they also get a ton of the emotional support that they need as well. So it's the best of both worlds, and they don't have to give up anything. They don't have to sacrifice anything. They don't have to suffer or anything like that. They just have to just be there and be present, and that's it. It's crazy, dude. Like, we can have that too as men without our women. I'm saying we need to have those types of relationships with our friends, but we're too afraid, and we're too homophobic, and we're too misogynistic to allow ourselves to experience that.
So when she leaves, you lose everything, because she was your everything, right? Your emotional support, your stability, who you are. That's why so many men are like stunned when they're watching.
I'm sorry. She just reminded me of something, because a dude last night said men lose everything in a divorce. I love the way that she said that. When men say they lose everything, if you ask them what they mean, they'll talk about money, right? But what she is saying is that they lose all of the support and the labor and all of that. That's really what men are losing, though. Men aren't, it ain't the money. Men are okay after they get divorced. Women suffer financially, but women gain emotionally. Men suffer emotionally and gain or remain the same financially, because when you are in a relationship, like, you know how people say it's cheaper to keep her? It's actually not cheaper. You actually spend more money when you have your wife and you have your kids with you. There's no way, because when your wife and kids are there, you don't even know all the little, like, dude, like, and I've given this example 1,000 times. Me and my kids, we just went to 99-cent store. You know, we went to Chipotle, we went to In-N-Out, right? My little son, my 9-year-old son was like, man, Jack, he was talking about his older brother. He was like, Jackson better be happy now. We just spent like $100. And he was right. We spent like $40 at the 99-cent store. And we spent like, you know, whatever, $30 at Chipotle. And we spent another $10 at In-N-Out. 80 bucks. Easy. We spent $80. And that's like every week. That's like every Saturday. That's a thing, right? So if I'm not there, who do you think is gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, my wife is gonna be responsible for that if I'm not there. Even if I'm giving up child support, the child support is gonna take care of the big shit. Housing, clothes, some of the food. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take care of that type of stuff. The insurances, things of that nature. It's the little things that add up, but it's the little things or the smaller things that you don't understand and you don't see, that you don't clock, right? You actually spend more money when you have your family with you. Anybody that has a family and is honest about this will tell you that. So I can see men after they get divorced, unless they were relying on their wife's money, which is different. But if you're the breadwinner, if you're the sole provider, you gain money. You're not spending more money.
On the other hand, they tend to build deep emotional bonds. They have friends outside of their marriage. So when she leaves, you lose everything because she was your everything, right? Your emotional support, your stability, who you are. That's why so many men are like stunned when their wives walk away. It came out of nowhere. It didn't, bro. It came after years of unmet needs, silent resentment, and her being treated like furniture with feelings.
That came out of nowhere does come out of nowhere in the minds of men, because what happens usually is, like she's saying, the years of, you know, trying to like address it happens. And then it's like the years of silence or the months of silence. And then, you know, the women go, you know, 0 dark 30 on us, and they go no contact. And they'll even be, dude, they'll be sleeping with you. They'll watch movies with you. Like, it'll appear like everything is okay, but she's checked out and there is like, I believe, like a period where women are like hoping that you will see that she's more distant, but men don't, because men actually like that she's distant. We like the lack of connection. We like that you're like, now it's like you just shut up, you know, do what you need to do, you keep quiet, you keep your head down, and I get to sleep with you. Oh yeah, perfect. Win, 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 win. Right? Even if I get to sleep with you a little bit less, whatever, it's a fair trade-off. That's what happens. So then when she just now just like, hey, I have to talk to you. You know, I've been miserable for what? You haven't said anything. Yeah, in months, but I was fucking yelling at you for 10 years. Like, what the fuck? That's why for men it came out of nowhere a lot of times.
But the truth is, you thought that her unhappiness was like background noise, right? Didn't really matter. It's just tolerable misery. You thought that she'd keep doing everything forever because that's what good women do, right? Mm-hmm. And the truth is, you thought she was a good woman, right? That she would be blindly loyal forever. So you claim you're the victim. You say she's the selfish one. Okay, hear me out. I've got a radical idea.
And that's when they bring up the vow shit. Oh, you're not going to honor your vows? Fuck them vows and fuck you too.
If you really believe that marriage is this life of sacrifice and misery, don't get married.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get married, right? Nobody needs all this martyrdom from men. Mm-hmm. Least of all, the woman that you expect to stay miserable with you out of what? Loyalty. Please. So can we stop pretending that women are walking away from perfectly healthy families and these good men who sacrificed everything because they just wanted to go find themselves?
Also, you know what men say all the time? Men talk about this all the time. They talk about how they will kill somebody for their friend, or, you know, kill somebody for their wife or kids or whatever. And they go to work and they slave away, but they won't actually come home and pay attention to their wives though. They won't actually cook or clean or talk or anything like that to their family or wives. And then they try to paint this picture like they live in this fantasy world where every day they're jumping on the proverbial grenade, right? Like over and over and over again. But in reality, they're not doing shit. So they get away with this like perceived heroism that they never have to actually do. They don't ever have to actually be the hero because those moments rarely, if ever, come up. You're never going to have to jump in front of the bully. You're never going to have to shield be a human shield for that shit's never going to happen. But as long as you tell yourself, I would do that for my family, you get to play the hero. That shit is sick. While simultaneously ignoring all of your husbandly duties. What?
Walking away from perfectly healthy families and these good men who sacrificed everything because they just wanted to go find themselves. They're walking away from emotional starvation, from gaslighting, from resentment, from raising their husbands alongside their kids, from being called too sensitive or too much the whole time while begging to be seen, begging for the bare minimum. You think that men sacrifice their happiness for their family?
They don't.
What? Men sacrifice accountability. They sacrifice intimacy. They sacrifice doing half the dishes. And when a woman finally says, you know what, man, I deserve more than this. Oh, you see it as betrayal, right?
Men think that they're sacrificing again because if you guys ever seen the movie Hall Pass, that's pretty much what men are. That I know. So in the movie Hall Pass, for those of you who don't know, basically these dudes, there's two husbands and they have been shitty husbands to their wives. And they start to feel like they can do better, essentially, right? Their wives pick up on it and their wives go, fine, go out there, do what you want to do. We'll give you a week. We're going to get a hall pass. You're going to get a hall pass. Cool. So they go out in the world, in the wilderness, and it's it's dry as shit. They only have a week, mind you. So let's say it starts on a Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, nothing is cracking for them. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And they, there's moments in there where they realize they're not who they think they were. They're not hot shit or whatever the case may be. And granted, it's a movie and to push the narrative along, things start to happen and, they get access to a woman, whatever. But generally speaking, if a man had a week to find a woman and, bed a woman and sleep with her and do whatever he wants to do with that woman, the average man's not going to be able to do it. Especially the average man that's been married for any significant amount of time. But men will feel like they'll tell this lie that the thing that they've sacrificed is access to all of these women, as if that's a sacrifice in and of itself. So what? What do you mean? When I bought my car, I didn't sacrifice all the other cars out there. The fuck are you talking about? I needed a car. I wanted a car. I picked the car. I got a car. That's a weird way to look at it. I sacrificed. That's stupid. That's not how it works.
Betrayal. Your shock doesn't mean that she's heartless. It means you weren't paying attention. Wake up. Marriage isn't a hostage situation. A woman choosing to go be happy makes sense. Who the hell would choose to be unhappy? Oh, men do. You did. You're right. You chose to be unhappy. Ask yourself why. Love is not.
Men are unhappy because men can't be satisfied. Men aren't unhappy because the wife is contributing to it or being such of a burden that she is hindering his happiness. That's not it. She could be doing everything perfect and he would still be unhappy. It's within him. But women are happy. Women are, if you guys have watched White Lotus, I think it's the English woman, I think it's Rick, and I can't remember her name. But if you've seen the show, so basically it's like an age gap relationship. But anyways, she's the light of the world. She's so sweet and so smart and so insightful or whatever. But she's chasing this man around trying to save him from himself the whole time because he's so self-destructive and he's so miserable. She is a happy person. He eventually makes her unhappy at some point. She starts off, it seems like she can't be cracked, but then she cracks and then she becomes unhappy at some point. He starts to drag her down. That's what it's like to be in a relationship with the average man for the average woman. Men are just unhappy. We're unhappy. We can't be satisfied.
Ask yourself why. Love is not measured by how much someone is willing to endure before they snap, okay? Your version of a relationship requires her silence and her suffering for you to just function. Bro, you're not in a partnership. You are in a one-sided transaction. And when she finally opts out, that is not her being selfish. That is her saving herself. If you think that being in a marriage is unhappy stuff, bye-bye. Get divorced, don't get married. Very simple. But to act like men don't stay married and cheat on their wives, is that an example of men sacrificing their happiness? Or is that an example of a man claiming that he can't leave? And then I could go on and on. I won't. No, men don't get divorced because of alimony, which is paid in less than 10% of divorces. So 90% of men don't pay alimony.
It's less than that because women pay alimony too. I think it's like 3% of the alimony, basically 3% of women pay alimony and like 6% of men pay alimony, if I'm not mistaken, or it's like 6 and 2% or something like that. That's what it is. It's only like 8% of all divorces in where the man has to pay alimony, where somebody has to pay alimony. But of that, you see what I'm saying? 3% of that 8% are women. It's fucking crazy.
I'm gonna lose my kids in family court. When 86% of men get exactly the custody they ask for, and the actual problem, as identified by any lawyer worth anything,
men don't show up,
is that men don't ask for custody of their kids. Men shouldn't have to ask. Yeah, men shouldn't have to do any work, right? Sounds like your marriage.
Boom. Damn, that was good. That was one of the, I don't even know if you can call that a rant because she wasn't just ranting. But man, oh man, I loved every minute of that. That was, look, man, when you hear that type of stuff, that doesn't anger me. That motivates me. That motivates me to not be that guy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That doesn't make me upset. Like, even if I am currently that guy or I have some, some similar characteristics, some similar traits to that guy, I don't want to be that guy though, because that guy sounds miserable, and that guy doesn't satisfy their wives and their kids. That guy is a fucking humongous letdown for everybody around him. You want to be that guy? I don't. So I internalize that shit. I go, yes, I'm not going to be that guy. Fuck that. But y'all don't want to change. Most men, you don't want to change. So when you hear that, that's going to trigger something in you. That's going to make you upset. And you should get upset, but you shouldn't get upset at your woman, and you shouldn't get upset at that woman for just pointing out the obvious. At the end of the day, men don't sacrifice shit in relationships. Zero.